Hello, hello. Hello, it's Angela at Make Crypto Easy, and I'm really excited today because we have Patrick Larsen from ZenLedger here, along with a lot of our Make Crypto Easy folks on the inside. So we're going to be talking about how do you record your crypto? How do you settle up with a tax man without getting into trouble and without paying too much tax? And what about privacy coins? Where do we stand with that? And lots of other questions. So Patrick Larsen from ZenLedger, that's zenledger.io. If you haven't found it already, check it out. It's what you've been looking for, I'm sure. Patrick Larsen, I'm pleased to invite you. Do tell us more. Oh, do tell us more all about ZenLedger, please. Pat, I was hearing you just now, but you've disappeared on us right now. So let me see if we can get you back. Yeah.
But I will be. So at some point here, I will have to. And they're ruthless. They're ruthless.
Yeah,
So
the issue
I
is,
like the idea of something like ZenLedger because it'll make it really easy for me.
definitely. And I think the issue is if they start investigating you and you get an audit, then that is a real pain in the neck because it gets expensive then, because you then got to prove everything, every business, every side business, as well as any employment. So the whole point is to try and avoid that audit. Yes,
and here in the States, we tend to learn how to avoid the red flags that alert them to our business.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bit of an art.
Yeah, I'm sure. So we're back with Pat. I'm so pleased you're able to jump back on again, Pat.
My apologies.
Not at all, not at all. We're really excited to learn more about ZenLedger. I've been singing your praises since we first were talking. So really what I'd like to do is hand over to you. You tell us what you think is most valuable to us. And then I know we've got a number of questions for you, if that's okay, if they're not already answered.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi, I'm Pat Larsen. I'm the CEO of ZenLedger.io. We're a startup. We've been around for a little bit. We have a very accomplished team. We're about 10 people, 6 full-time devs, full-time CTO with 20 years experience, 10 years Microsoft, 10 years of his own startups with multiple exits. I am a former Navy helicopter pilot, got my MBA at U Chicago. Was an investment banker, have worked at Amazon running a $100 million retail business. And then I've been in a couple other startups. Drew Nordstrom, another co-founder, is a JD MBA. And so that's most of the team. And then our CMO, Kumar Thangudu, has done about $1 billion of ICOs in the last year. So it's a pretty professional team. We move pretty fast. We're in touch with all the whales, so we're solving a lot of their problems. We've ingested a ton of transaction information from crypto whales, and we're doing a ton of integrations with a bunch of different exchanges. So our core offering and what we seek to do is just make it as simple as possible for you to get an aggregated clean ledger that you can take to your local tax professional. So we're not a US tax company. We are a global ledger aggregation company. So in essence, what we do is we'll for version 1, there won't be as much automation as we'd like, but it'll work. So we'll ask you to upload your CSVs, give us your public addresses, and where we have APIs, we'll ingest by API, and we'll aggregate all your ledgers, so across multiple exchanges. Then we'll bring in data feeds to mark everything to market. So that by the exchange, by the cryptocurrency, and then by the fiat currency, by the second, you'll have a nice mark to market. And then you'll have this clean ledger that's all aggregated and mark to market. And then you can just go down the ledger making categorizations of the transactions. This was mining income. This was a business expense. This was trading. This was just a transfer from GDAX to KuCoin. This was not a sale. Or, and this was a wash or something. And then, maybe some tax loss harvesting at the end of the year, things like that. And so once you've categorized everything on your clean ledger, that's something you can take to your tax professional. And that's something that would stand up to an audit. And that's where we want to get to. So that's basically the offering in a nutshell, kind of a TurboTax for cryptocurrency investors.
Great, great. So now you have some people using this in the US, and how about the rest of the world at the moment, Pat?
So we actually have people from all around the world, because it's location agnostic in that we're just aggregating ledgers. So when we mark Bitcoin to dollar, we can just as easily mark Bitcoin to yen, Bitcoin to euro, Bitcoin to pound, right? Same calculation. So in the end, and if you just mark everything to dollars, and at the end of the whole ledger, you just mark that, you can do it that way, but it's probably better to do it by second. So we can do it that. So we do have just people using it all over the place. I'm sure it would work for Australians as well.
Okay, great. And once one starts using it, can you, oh, hello, we've got Tom here as well from the US. Glad you could join us, Tom. When you start using it, can you also see where you are right now? So can you see the relative value of what you've bought in the past and what it is right now? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we are getting to the point where it'll be portfolio management as well. So it'll give you a snapshot. We're not quite there yet, but if you give us a current CSV and a current public address, and we're aggregating that, it will give you basically what is in effect portfolio management, a current snapshot. We're a couple weeks out from launching, so I'm a little hesitant to make promises. I think like March 15th is like a 90% launch date, where April 1st is like a 99% launch date. And then frankly, most of our clients, they'll be deferring their taxes 6 months in the United States to file in October anyway, and then like 100% things will be ready for that filing.
Okay, excellent. Because that's that instant gratification, isn't it, from using it? So that's going to be great when you get that, so we can see exactly where we are at the moment. I did actually share with Pat our crypto calculation spreadsheet, and thanks, Teresa, for your good work there putting that together. But obviously ZenLedger is so much more sophisticated and such a great time saver as well. Pat, tell us about I think there's 3 types of people that you believe are going to be making good use of this.
Yeah, I think so there is the young investor, right? Someone who doesn't have too much financial wherewithal, but was very comfortable with new technologies emerging. Just call it a 27-year-old person who perhaps has a technology job. And that person, bought some Bitcoin or bought some Ethereum 2 years ago, maybe got into a couple ICOs, and they've done quite well in the last 2 years. But they've never engaged an accountant, they've never engaged a realtor, a lawyer, any of that. And if you go to Coinbase and you download your 5, reports in the different currencies, it's very overwhelming for someone who doesn't have financial training. So that's one person that we can help out. They're very afraid of audit. They're reading TechCrunch and Cointelegram, and they're seeing that the IRS is using chain analysis and Blockseer to scrub blockchains and start prosecuting.
Can I just stop you there? Can you just talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So there are several chain analysis companies that have IRS and FBI and I'm sure NSA contracts to just map out the entire world of transactions, right? If obviously if they find every email and every phone call interesting, they're going to find every cryptocurrency and banking transaction interesting, right? So in America, Coinbase was successfully sued in federal court by the IRS. And so in everyone from 2013 to 2015 who made more than $20,000 profits, Coinbase must provide their information to the IRS. So that's current through 2015. So you can kind of make guesses on what happens with 2016 and 2017, where there's far more people making far larger gains. And there are far more US-based exchanges, Gemini, Poloniex, Bittrex, Kraken, Robinhood. There's just a whole universe of people that are going to be completely visible and subject to IRS. So once they see where your dollars come into crypto, and they just watch the blockchain from there, now there's not nearly as much anonymity. I mean, it's fine if you're treating this as an interesting asset class and investment thesis. It's fine that the government knows that you own Apple stock and Tesla stock and Ethereum and Bitcoin because you fully intend to be an American citizen and pay your taxes or whatever country you're in. if you're trying to get off the grid into Monero and Zcash and do your, your off-chain transactions, like, I mean, more power to you. I wish you the best. I hope things work out, but it's a bit more adventurous than what I'm willing to do. And I flew helicopter combat missions in Iraq a couple times. So.
Yeah, you're pretty adventurous, I think, Pat. But you were saying that there is no need to declare privacy coins. So that brings me on to another question that people had. So for these people that do want to be off-grid for whatever reason, sometimes it's just they like their privacy. Yeah. But say they are using cash and using privacy coins and maybe using Proton Mail and maybe using Signal for their communication. Yep. Whereas we now know that Google knows exactly what you're doing if you're getting out the car or driving the car or what, the whole lot. So Google and Apple are huge surveillance things. But if somebody does want to be off record like that, can you just talk, I know this is not what ZenLedger is for, as you're saying, but can you just talk a little bit about that from your perspective, your understanding of it?
So this is not expert advice. I'm very much on the other side of things, but from how I think about how information flows around, that if you start with cash or art or uncut diamonds or whatever else you want, and you go and you arrange for a face-to-face peer-to-peer transaction in Dash, and you conduct that transaction, and now you're in the crypto universe, and you always use a VPN, you always use Tor, you take things off-chain as much as you can, you microwave your cell phone and live in a Faraday cage. You can probably keep your crypto assets completely invisible, just like people keep their cash holdings completely invisible. People keep entire companies completely invisible to U.S. regulation or global regulation, right? I mean, General Electric pays zero in taxes already, so sometimes if you get powerful enough, you just create the laws that make whatever you're doing legal. So that's another thing. But yeah, so like it's completely possible to keep your entire crypto holdings completely opaque. But it takes a lot of discipline. And at some point you have to ask yourself, why am I holding this Dash? What am I going to do with it? Can I eat it? If you got to turn it back into, if you want to turn it back into shelter and food, I don't know. You might be able to go to Puerto Rico and make that happen. In a couple of years, you may be able to go to Estonia or Venezuela and Zimbabwe and make that happen. But, the future is uncertain in that case.
Yeah, I agree. And hugely, increasingly complex and difficult. And that's not what we're here for either, but some people want to know about that.
No, so it's interesting. It's super fascinating. Yeah.
It is fascinating.
All of us like to watch spy movies, so.
Yeah. And obviously it goes without saying, this is not financial advice, do your own due diligence, etc. But coming back to what ZenLedger is for, so ZenLedger exists to make life easier. Most of us know, except we have to pay our taxes, for the roads and hospitals and so on. We don't want to pay too much. We might complain about what it's spent on, but with things becoming increasingly visible and transparent and accountable, hopefully things are going to improve there as well. But to make sure that we're not breaking the law, we're able to see what our portfolios are doing in real time, maybe from March onwards, not right now, but that's coming. And we're able to satisfy our accountant and the tax man, then ZenLedger is the first of its kind. Is that right?
I'd say it's the second of its kind. It's the next generation that works quite better. So let me go back to that original question you had of what are the three buckets of customers? So you have the young person that doesn't quite have financial wherewithal, but was early on and did quite well. You have the second group of people, which is like dual income household, both technologically savvy, both work at tech companies, put a good chunk of money in, put 10,000, 20,000 USD into the system a year or two ago, and have just made a ton of money. And this is just part of their asset portfolio. They own a home, they own a 401k, they own stocks. They already have like a consulting LLC that they do some questionable stuff through already, owning a car and cell phone plans, right? And they don't want to get audited. They've made their gains. They realized that this ramp was unsustainable. And at F14,000, they said, we're paying off the mortgage. And they're happy to pay their 15% long-term capital gains tax, right? So we can help them out because we've talked to a lot of people who it's still daunting to them, even though they are very comfortable engaging CPAs and lawyers and realtors and professional services. Their CPA is great with fiat transactions, but not with crypto transactions. So that CPA needs training, and that CPA is very hesitant. Some lawyers will be very cutting edge and very aggressive. CPAs are never cutting edge and aggressive. That there's a selection factor there, right? So we're also building up a training pipeline. We're going to have a get your taxes done in the Bay Area kind of thing where we'll train 5 CPAs. Sorry, can you?
Yeah,
so we'll train CPAs up on using ZenLedger. Everyone will show up, get an appointment, and you'll get your taxes done that day. And that'll be a lot of Google and Facebook employees and stuff, right? So those are 2 buckets. And then the third bucket is the whale. This is someone who went in big, has been in every ICO, has done very well, is a hedge fund onto themselves. And some of those people are just global citizens. They may have been born in Britain or Germany or America or Canada, but they've lived like 10 years in Thailand. They've lived in, Barcelona and Colombia, Medellin and stuff, and they've been transacting in Bitcoin. And these people have incredibly complex transactions. They probably got doxxed. They've been on-chain, they've been off-chain, they've been in multiple currencies. And those are the cases we're also solving. These are the people that tell us, oh, if you could clear that up, that would save me 50 hours, and it's worth $10,000 to me. Or if you lower my chances of audit from like whatever it is, 10% down to 1%, that's incredibly valuable to me. And we'll have a premium service where we're doing a lot of this for you, and we offer $100,000 like audit protection, things like that. So those are the 3 buckets, like kind of young person, middle-aged, technology savvy people, and then the whales.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. If anybody's got any questions, then do ask away. Just going back to what you were saying, so then you're linking with the exchanges. Can you talk about how that works and which exchanges you're connected with and any future intentions?
Yeah. So one thing we're doing is we're very savvy, like business to business, like business partnership kind of company. So we're reaching out to the largest exchanges, and we're going to ask for sample data, and we're going to run through a bunch of anonymized sample data through our engine and make sure it comes out very clean, very crisp. And then we know that we're ready to go for that entire customer base. And so like there's an 80-20 to it, right? So we're going to start with the largest exchanges like, Coinbase, KuCoin, Bittrex, GDAX, Binance. And we'll just keep going down the list. There's only so many hours in a day and so many developers we have on our team, but we're going to do as much as we can, as fast as we can.
Okay, great. And when will the first ones be in place, or are they already in place, Pat?
They're kind of in place right now. It's just it's in a rough alpha, and we think there'll be a live clickable rough beta in 2 to 3 weeks, and then something quite usable in 4 to 6 weeks.
Great. So a question came in from Teresa, and as well as her many other talents, Teresa is a qualified bookkeeper, makes sure things are kept straight. So Teresa is saying, how can I learn this?
Yeah, so I would say that in your local tax jurisdiction, there's probably already some very forward-thinking CPAs and lawyers, and you should be reading their blogs. You should be watching their panel discussions, and in that local tax jurisdiction, figuring out what the right thing to do is. I think it generally bifurcates into here's a very aggressive stance, and then here's a very conservative stance. Here's where I have guidance. Here's where I do not have guidance. And what we recommend is you decide how aggressive or conservative you're going to be, and you get your tax professionals buy-in. You make your decisions and you document them, and you send a letter into your tax authority that says, here's my clean ledger. Here are the decisions I made. Here's the decisions I made when there was guidance. And here's the decisions I made where there is no guidance, but here's the reason I made that decision. And between all that, that shows the tax authority that you're thinking, that you care, that you're engaging professionals, that you're trying to be upfront and not trying to get away with anything. And that's going to dramatically reduce any chance of any legal problems.
Yeah, got it.
Pat, can I ask you a quick question? I'm in San Diego, so I'm a U.S. citizen, and thank you for being part of the military.
I was stationed in San Diego. I love San Diego, and I grew up in Los Angeles.
I have a lot of friends in the military,
Yeah.
but my question is my CPA, I'm going to retain him for a variety of reasons, but I don't suspect that he knows much.
Yeah.
Would even know where to start. And
Yep.
I know this isn't necessarily your area of expertise per se, but is there something I could point him to? I could use ZenLedger to create my the information to provide to him, but how would he know even where to start?
Yeah.
Is there some information somewhere to provide to him so that we can come together and
so like we're going to be compiling a CPA frequently asked questions, right? And like a training schedule for CPAs. I can forward along some stuff. I can probably create a blog post quite quickly, and you can just subscribe, and we'll send that out at ZenLedger.io. But we are engaging with several CPAs that have very successfully defended their clients from the IRS regarding Bitcoin. And so there are forward-thinking CPAs that know what they're talking about and know how to defend their clients. And I would just interact with them. And if you have to, maybe you engage them just for your crypto part. Because if you have significant holdings, it's just not worth the risk of trying to bring your CPA along, right? Don't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
Just go to the Westminster show and just get the dog that's doing backflips already.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, I think that's good advice. And over here in Australia, we're currently talking to finance brokers and some accountants as well about what they need to know. So we're engaging with a few people like that, so we can help them get a deeper understanding of crypto. And then we see ZenLedger as being part of their ease of use, really, like the bridge. So a question here from Angela. So the transactions that we have on Australian exchanges, for example, BTC Markets or CoinJar or CoinSpot at the moment, they can't be synced yet, but they're sort of on your list at some point, I think?
Yeah. Like we're just looking at all the flows and trying to figure out where the most people have the most problems. And I think that, an Australian is on, KuCoin and Binance for sure. And that's going to be a lot of their transactions. And so that's going to deliver a lot of value already.
Yeah. So I guess you're just working through which are the biggest exchanges, adding those first, like you said, 80-20, what's going to give you the biggest value. All right, that's great. That's been so helpful. I don't know if we've got any other questions, but just to recap what your offer is, you're saying people can sign up right now.
You can sign up for our email list right now.
Yep. Okay. And then when's it actually going to be available to use?
We're planning a March 15th launch, depending on how things go. It's a highly fluid situation.
Okay, great. And are you talking about costs, or are you just going to refer people to your website?
We'll refer to them website. There will be a free offering. We want to make sure that we're helping as many people out as we can, and then there'll probably be a tiered kind of freemium thing from there.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Patrick, for jumping on. I think that's all of our questions for now. If anybody else wants to say anything, just unmute yourself and shout pretty quick. Otherwise, I know you're busy as anything. We're probably going to let you go and appreciate your time here.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure talking to you. Please feel free to email me at pat@zenledger.io, and Angela has my contact information. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Awesome. Really appreciate your time. Bye for now.